All right. Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Robert Ellis. I am a Senior Assistant Director of Undergraduate Admission at Northwestern. I'm also an alum. I graduated in 2012 from the School of Education and Social Policy. And I also got a master's degree from CESP as well in 2019. I'm originally from the south suburbs of Chicago, so I grew up about an hour south of campus. While I was on campus, I was involved in many different things, primarily focused around cultural life on campus. But some of my favorite memories don't have anything to do with kind of the organized events I was a part of. I like to tell the story about how I love snow. I love throwing snowballs. It's one of my kind of favorite pastimes, even as an adult. And so on campus, often would receive emails about, all school snowball fights in Daring Meadow. And so I once picked up a snowball. I tossed it at a young woman's back. She turned around, it hit her in the face. And that's when I learned it was an ice ball. I've never felt so bad in my life. And I promise you all that. But you don't have to worry about her because now we're married. Um, that's a great ending to that story. With me, I have my co-presenter.
Hey y'all, my name is Chris. I actually just graduated. Now it's been about a month and 8 days since the ceremony. I studied social policy in the School of Education and Social Policy. Um, and I came from Houston, Texas. So I definitely got hit with a cold when I first got here and was very excited to see my first snow. But getting used to the cold did take a little bit of time. And while I was still a student, I was a part of the triathlon club. And what's nice is even though I've graduated, a lot of the alums from the club are still getting together safely to practice.
Amazing. So today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to discuss academics at Northwestern. Then we'll talk about culture and community, and then we'll round it out with admissions and financial aid. And so we'll also have an opportunity for you all to ask any questions that you may have. I recommend dropping them in the chat as you go. I've asked the Northwestern bots to respond to you as it happens, and then we'll get to some of your questions on the video as well as at the end. And so I wanted to start off by saying that we understand the kind of context of the world right now. As you might be able to notice, I'm in my home office, really just kind of hanging out all the time. And I get sad about it, but I also am very grateful, for my health and all of that. And so we do understand that given this school year and maybe this upcoming school year, there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding kind of the circumstances of what's going on and how that's all going to look. But do know that we're aware of it. We're here with you. I've learned how to cook a lot of different things, and then I realized that I really only like to cook a few things, and so my food has become very bland because I'm only eating to survive. So we're all there with you, and I just want you to know that as an admissions counselor, we're going to take all of this into consideration when we're reviewing your application, and so you don't have to worry about COVID. When it comes to us reviewing your application, just stay safe, stay healthy, learn what you can, do what you can, and be kind to one another is all of the advice that I have for you there. But I see in the chat here some places where folks are from. So we have like Jersey, Ohio, Georgia, Maryland, California, Texas, Florida, Illinois. I'm from Illinois. That's the best place, right? I actually grew up near Burbank, Xavier, which is kind of interesting. I don't think most people would even say that they were from Burbank. I think we'd hit a Chicago generally, just so that people didn't ask too many questions. But this is great because it's kind of representative of where we have our students from. So Northwestern has about 8,000 undergraduate students. We have representation from all 50 states and over 90 countries abroad. So we're very diverse geographically, but we're also diverse in any measure that you can think of. And so that can be racial ethnic diversity, socioeconomic status, what sort of academic programs you're interested in. Do you rise early, get up late? Do you like green apples or red apples? Literally anything. My favorite thing about Northwestern is the diversity and perspective that all of our students have. It's very easy for you to sit down with someone that you don't know and talk about what's going on TV. TVs at Northwestern typically tuned into ESPN. So maybe you talk about this NBA restarting and the kind of economic ramifications of that, and that turns into a conversation about physics or chemistry or literacy or literally anything. Northwestern students are very passionate about what they're doing inside and outside of the classroom, so it's very easy for you to learn from your peers. So we want to put you in the classroom with people from all over the country, from all over the world, so that you're getting diverse perspectives on the topics that you're studying, and so that you're able to understand that not everyone has the same views as you, and that you're able to kind of build this better argument around kind of your beliefs with the facts that you're presented, so that you have a better understanding of what it is that you're studying. But we also want you to get kind of a diverse perspective through the courses that you're taking. And one of the ways that we accomplish that is through our distribution requirements. So at Northwestern, we don't have any general education requirements, meaning there isn't any one course that all of our students have to take. Rather, we have these different areas that you have to take classes in, but you get to select those courses. We don't pick them for you. So you have the opportunity to create a curriculum that's your own. So for example, in our College of Arts and Sciences, there are 6 different distribution areas, and one of them happens to be formal studies, and that's simply fulfilled through mathematics. But if you decided you never wanted to take math again when you leave high school, you could do so at Northwestern. So if you're willing to take a music course or linguistics course or a course in logic, you could fulfill that requirement without ever taking math. I don't know why you'd want to do that, because math is life, but the opportunity presents itself at Northwestern. And so we really want that flexibility of our curriculum to be seen in our school system as well. And so when you apply to Northwestern, you apply to one of our 6 schools. And so you'll find that we have our College of Arts and Sciences, our School of Engineering, School of Communication, School of Journalism, Media and Integrated Marketing Communication, our School of Music, and our School of Education and Social Policy. And so when you apply to Northwestern, you apply to one of our 6 schools, but you're not stuck. You're not on an island. You can move fluidly between schools. You can major across schools. You can take a course in another school just because you're interested in that particular topic. And so we don't limit what it is that you can do inside of the classroom. If you fulfill the prerequisites for a course, you're able to take that course with no questions asked. And so we really want you to be able to find your passions and to identify those and to be able to take courses in them. And so that might require that you move around a little bit and that you do a few, extra things. And so it's very easy to transfer between our 6 schools, should your passions change. And so there are plenty of students who come to Northwestern. They know exactly what it is that they want to do. They just want to get from point A to point B. And we can help you to fill in the gaps to achieve your goals. But there's also a ton of students who come to Northwestern who are a little bit more flexible in their academic outcomes. They're not quite sure what it is that they want to study. And Northwestern could be a great place of discovery for that. And I'll let Chris kind of take over and talk about what it is to kind of make that discovery.
Yes, so I actually loved the flexibility that Northwestern offered. It was one of the many things that drew me to the school. So over the course of my 4 years, I was able to actually take at least one class in 4 of the 6 schools. The only 2 schools I didn't get were Beaman and Medill, which I almost did Beaman because there was a class that was on the Beatles that was really cool, but unfortunately it filled up. So that's one sad thing I didn't get to experience. But something that this flexibility has allowed me to do has been to figure out what sort of things I'm interested in, both inside and outside of the classroom. So while I really do love social policy and the ways in which governments and organizations can create programs to support the people, I got to take a class in McCormick School of Engineering called Analytics for Social Good, which really pushed me to look at more of the STEM-based approaches and analysis when it comes to actually creating those programs. And this sort of interdisciplinary work is actually super common. I'm not the only one. There are so many opportunities for students to just explore things that maybe they didn't have the chance to explore while they were in high school or any other sort of school. So while Robert mentioned math, I actually refused to take a math class when I got here, as well as chemistry and any other science, because that just was not my strong suit. So instead, I got to fulfill my requirements taking one. I've taken a computer science course, which didn't involve any sort of math, but actually got me to experience that sort of computer side of things, which is so helpful, especially today with everything going remote. So don't worry, please take it from me. You don't have to take math if you don't want to take math. Now, I actually just ended. I'm not going to be taking any more classes at Northwestern, while a lot of you are just now getting into thinking about what you want to do. So, some of you may know exactly what you want to do. For example, my friend Olivia, who actually also just graduated, she came in knowing she wanted to study theater in the School of Communication while also working towards a certificate in musical theater as well as business institutions. She came in, she wanted to be able to work on the more production side of theater. And after her first 3 years of working with the WAMU show, which is Northwestern's student written, student run, student produced musical theater show that happens every spring, she ended up co producing with two other students. And she knew right away that this is what she wanted to do. And she figured out a way to fit everything together. Now, not everyone else has this experience. Some of you might not know anything about what you want to do, and that's totally okay. It's very common, actually, for students to come to Northwestern undecided. In fact, about 50% of the students come in not knowing what they want to do exactly and get placed into our Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences, which allows them to sort of get a feel for what they might be interested in by doing their distribution requirements. Now, that was me. I came in and I thought, oh, I'm going to do pre-med because it got in my head that I wanted to be a doctor. But what ended up happening was over the summer before getting here, I actually saw that I had to take a chemistry placement exam and realized I did not want to do that, especially over the summer, and instantly dropped being pre-med. And over the course of the first year, changed my major 5 separate times before I finally realized what I wanted to study. And actually, the reason I landed on CESP and social policy in particular was because of an advisor I met along the way. So during my transition from Weinberg, I met many of the wonderful full-time advisors that the School of Education and Social Policy have in the Student Affairs Office. And they worked with me to figure out what exactly I was interested in, what I wanted my future to look like, as broad as I had in my mind, because I really didn't know the specifics. And they pointed me into the direction of social policy. And after taking the intro class with a lot of other students who are interested in the same thing and meeting so many amazing professors who cared deeply about what they were teaching and also cared about the development of the students, I realized that is where I wanted to be. And these professors, they really pushed me to challenge my preconceived notions about everything, to figure out how best I, as a person, and our class as a whole could support other people, which is so important for anyone who is looking at the social sector. Um, and that's just not an experience with CESP faculty. The thing that's so great about Northwestern and the faculty and staff here is they care about the students, and they really try to get to know every single student that's in their class. For example, I had a professor for my introduction to sociology class that had 200 people in the class, and the professor made it his goal to get to know every single one of them and learn their names by the end of the quarter. He invited us all to tea, and every week new people would go. And I sat with some of my friends and had tea in his office, and we ate chocolate and just talked about sociology and how that fit into life. Um, Now, not many classes at Northwestern are that large. In fact, 80% of our classes have less than 20 students in them. And overall, we have a 6-to-1 student teacher ratio. Now, for some of those larger classes, we have grad student TAs who make it so that these students can still get individualized attention from people who are also knowledgeable in the field, um, and also just get that support that they need. Now, something about Northwestern is we have the faculty, we have the TAs, and we also have an amazing staff that provide this incredible support system that helps students get through the quarter system. So I'm actually going to pass it back to Robert, who's going to talk to you more about that.
Perfect. So most students are familiar with the semester system, where you split the year into 2 semesters. You take about 5 courses a semester, 10 in a year, typically somewhere between 38 and 40 courses over your time in school. But at Northwestern, we split the year into 4 academic quarters. So fall, winter, spring, and summer. Summer is completely optional. You don't have to see us during the summer if you don't want to. You're free to go home and experience the exhilaration of your hometown if you would like. But what our students would do is that they'll take about 4 courses a quarter, so 12 in a year, 48 over their time at Northwestern. So that's 8 to 10 more classes that you get to take by virtue of being on the quarter system in comparison to the semester system. And so it builds in a lot of flexibility. It gives you the opportunity to change your mind, to add additional academic program, to study abroad, to take time off to pursue an internship opportunity. One of my absolute favorite things about the quarter system is that our students get true breaks. So when they're done with their classes in the fall, they go on winter break. And when they come back to a fresh new set of courses. So during that break, you don't have to study for anything. You don't have to write any papers. You're free to go home and to veg out and to catch up on your shows or to lay on the beach or to do whatever it is that you like to do for fun because you're coming back to a fresh new set of courses. Speaking of courses, we offer quite a few of them at Northwestern, so you have a lot to choose from. And so, every quarter when you're registering for your classes, you try to find something very kind of exhilarating to take along with those major courses. One of my favorite classes to talk about is Building Loving and Lasting Relationships, Marriage 101. It's a course that's offered in our School of Education and Social Policy. When you register for the course, you register with a partner. But if you're lonely, we can find a partner for you. The idea of this class is that you're married to that person for the quarter. So you do all of your coursework together, you study together, and you learn what it means to build a strong romantic relationship with that person. And so it's a great opportunity for you to kind of build strong bonds with someone that you're already interested in, or to see if you can't develop some chemistry with someone. This is also kind of a course that really makes or breaks relationships. I honestly don't know anyone who's finished the full 10 weeks together. So it might not be a course that you want to take with someone that you're serious about. Maybe want to save it, for that prospect. But either way, you have that opportunity to take that class, no matter what your major is. And there are courses offered like these throughout all of our different academic programs at Northwestern, which we have over 190 for you to choose from. And so that's majors, minors, and certificates. Majors between 11 and 17 courses, minors between 6 and 9 courses, and a certificates between 4 and 6 courses. And if you're pursuing a certificate, you're really pursuing a skill. So there's something you want to get out of that set of classes. There's something you want to be able to do when you are done. So you might pursue a certificate in financial economics because you're interested in working in the financial sector, or you might pursue a certificate in leadership because you're interested in what it means to be an effective leader and teammate. And so you have a lot of opportunity to study whatever it is that you would like to at Northwestern because of the flexibility of the quarter system and those extra classes that you get to take. In fact, we have a rule of 3 at Northwestern where you can pursue up to 3 academic concentrations, including a triple major if you're ambitious. And so it's not uncommon for a Northwestern student to introduce themselves and say that they have a double major with a minor and a concentration in something else because they're very passionate about what it is that they're learning in the classroom, but also the flexibility of the quarter system really allows you to be able to do that. And so if you're interested in, say, like journalism and biology, you don't have to choose between those 2 passions because they're possible to pursue both of them at Northwestern. And so we really want that flexibility, to be the hallmark of a Northwestern education. But we're also aware that learning doesn't just happen inside of the classroom, it happens outside of the classroom as well. And so we like to kind of bucket those into innovation and research. And so on the innovation side, you might be interested in, the intersection between journalism and computer science. And so you partner with the Night Lab where you can collaborate with other students on a solution of virtual reality journalism, and we can fly you out to our San Francisco space for you to be able to do that. Or you might have an idea for a startup. And so you apply for some space in the garage, which is our innovation incubator, where you can get some mentorship and potentially some seed money for you to get your business off the ground. Or you might be interested in civic engagement. And so you partner with the Center for Civic Engagement where you can do some community-based projects. And so I live up the street from Northwestern and Rogers Park, which is the first kind of neighborhood in Chicago, right when you leave Evanston. And students who are in the certificate in the civic engagement certificate program, excuse me, they partnered with a local church to create a community garden. And so that's still being sustained. Folks are going out and still utilizing that space. And it's a great opportunity, to really get involved, not just in Evanston, but also in Chicago through kind of the coursework that you're taking. Northwestern is also a tier 1 research institution, which means we do a lot of research on campus. And so we have plenty of opportunities for our undergraduate students to get involved. And I'm going to hand it over to Chris to maybe talk about some examples there.
Yeah, so when Robert is saying we have plenty of opportunities, that is an understatement. Northwestern gives around $3.5 million each year towards undergraduate research alone. So what that means is it's easy for anyone who wants to get involved in research to get involved in research. Now, research looks different for everyone. It doesn't have to be you working in a lab doing research with rats or looking at brain function. It could be something like researching how Greek and religion play in terms of understanding what the Bible actually means, or looking at queerness on different campuses that follow certain religious ideas. So that's something that I was really interested in when I got here. I didn't want to do research during my first 3 years because I was very involved in other activities. But during my senior year, I had the opportunity to work on my honors thesis, which is an independent research opportunity that a lot of different majors offer to their students, in the School of Education and Social Policy offer one to their students. And so what I was looking at wasn't STEM based. Instead, I was looking at how being involved in a major meme group impacted people's perceptions of environmental protection, political alignment, and things like that. And I actually had the support of the school the entire time throughout my project. And it was really cool to be able to say, hey, look, I'm researching the impact on memes, and to get honors from looking at that. Now, that was my experience, but I have another friend, Casey, who did follow this sort of STEM-based research and got involved with an entrepreneurship class, and ended up finding 3 grad student TAs who were working in a neuroscience lab, and wanted to work with them to create a medical device company that allowed for intracranial drilling at a bedside hospital room, which is something that I guess did not exist in. I really can't explain much more than that because I don't understand what exactly she's doing. But what I know is that she got so much funding from the school to work on this project and has become the CEO of this medical device company with hundreds of thousands of dollars of funding, all from just working with 3 graduate students who were in a lab and creating this company in a class at Northwestern. Now, while this is an experience of happening in Evanston, some people might even take their research abroad. For example, my friend Rachel, she was working with the Shirley Ryan Ability Lab downtown to make devices to support people recovering from various illnesses. And while doing that, she was also learning German. So this past summer, she actually was able to get a fellowship by working with the Office of Fellowships and the Office of Undergraduate Research to combine her love of research, materials science engineering, which is her degree, and German, and worked with the German Air and Space Institute on some of their protective coding. So while she did her research abroad, we also have students who go abroad for a more traditional study abroad experience. So that would include maybe taking classes at a foreign university, living in a dorm, or living in a homestay. Or even, for example, I got to work with a community-based nonprofit while abroad. Northwestern offers so many opportunities for students to go abroad through over 150 affiliated programs. And what is really great about Northwestern. If there's a program that you want to do that's not affiliated with Northwestern, the Global Learning Office will actually work with you to still apply to that program to get you abroad doing what you want to do. Now, a big worry for some students is expenses when it comes to going abroad. It's the sort of perception that going abroad can be very expensive, especially if you're a student on financial aid. And the great thing about Northwestern financial aid is if you want to go abroad and you receive financial aid at Northwestern, that aid is going to go with you when you go abroad. So they don't want finances to be something that's preventing people from experiencing other cultures in other countries. Now, for people who have a more rigid schedule, specifically the McCormick School of Engineering, they can have a more tough time finding that whole quarter to go abroad. You have some of those students going abroad during the summer quarter or doing week-long service trips or doing cultural immersion programs during winter and spring break. Study abroad really does allow so many incredible experiences. Um, and some students even go all the way abroad to do an internship as well. So something that Northwestern does that's really great, they have a lot of supports for students who want to get those pre-professional experiences that they can place on their resume and that gives them a little boost when it comes to finding jobs post-college. So we have some internship experiences abroad, but many of our experiences actually are right here in Chicago, in the state of Illinois, and within the United States. So Northwestern students have resources for finding these internships. Specifically, these resources are mainly coming from Northwestern Career Advancement Center, which is Northwestern's one-stop shop in general for career resources. Now, certain schools like CESP or Medill School of Journalism or McCormick have their own school-based career services as well. So there's literally so many resources for students. But one that I think is one the most beneficial, at least for me, has been the biannual career fairs, where hundreds of different organizations come and they present themselves to Northwestern students, and they are genuinely interested in hiring the students here, just based off of the ample experiences that we've had, the rigorous education. And outside of the career fair, NCA provides resume building workshops. They provide mock interview practice so that you're really able to put your best foot forward when it comes to finding a job, both while you're a student and after after graduating from Northwestern. So I actually was lucky in that I was able to intern at a sports-based nonprofit in downtown Chicago through part of the required internship experience through CESP called the Practicum. And I had CESP with me the entire way through finding a place I wanted to work at, through building my resume, practicing my interview skills before going. And it was really nice to know that I had the school to support me through the whole experience of applying to jobs, which is something that I now find myself doing again. And able to do it on my own because I've had that sort of experience with the support. Or another example, my friend Gabby spent a summer working with the city of Evanston for one of the alder people, and has been working and has been the intern pushing through the reparations fund for the city of Evanston. And that's such a real world experience that she can take with her, and she's able to work there now that she's graduated. And this kind of connection to incredible internships that we have here is partially due to our world-class alumni network, which I'm going to pass it back to Robert to talk about.
Yeah. And so something else I want to highlight about Northwestern Career Advancement is that they do a survey of the most recent graduating class 6 months out to see what it is that they're doing. And so generally speaking, we find that 96% of our graduates are engaged in pursuits related to their time at Northwestern. So the majority of our graduates will go immediately into the workforce. And then the next largest chunk of them will go into graduate school or professional school. And then there's a small kind of amount of them who do something else. And so they pursue community service, military service, or they choose to travel the world. So our graduates are leaving Northwestern very happy alumni. We have some great alum, people that are kind of very popular. So we have like Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyer, who I don't stay up late enough to watch, but I do watch on YouTube in the morning. Or, we have George R. R. Martin. We have, just all of these great people. And I could, really go on and on about like these famous alum. But some of my favorite people to talk about are like our young alum and, the folks who are out there who are doing like all of these really kind of big things. The other day, yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday, what is time? Um, I'm, scrolling through Instagram as we all do, and my wife's sitting next to me also scrolling through Instagram because we've run out of things to talk about. And she goes, "Hey, look at this," and it's one of my friends, and I'm like, "Oh no, I've already seen that." And she goes, "No, this video of my friend who is a rapping dentist was posted by DJ Khaled because he did a dental version of one of his more recent songs with Drake that the name escapes me. Um, and so, he went to dental school. By trade, he's a dentist, but he also likes to do these dental remixes to these songs. And that's just like a very unique thing to him. Or we have like my friend Charles, who works for Cartoon Network, where he reviews all the storyboards and scripts for all of the cartoons. And so, there are lots of kind of like great folks who are doing those types of things, right? Like, being a dentist is cool, but being a rapping dentist who's noticed by DJ Khaled, that's even better. Um, and so, we have this very kind of strong alumni network and these kind of strong connections that bring us together. And we are very much kind of about community, and that community that we build and those connections that we build on campus, they extend throughout the years. And so anytime you reach out to an alum, no matter the year that they've graduated, they will, talk to you. They will help you. They will help you if you're interested in their industry or anything like that. And so our alum are very good about kind of giving back to each other. You just going to Northwestern means, you're at least worthy of their time, even if they have a really packed schedule. And I really love that. Kind of about not just the students at Northwestern, but folks in their professional careers as well. And so, kind of the culture of Northwestern is one of support, and it's kind of this community that really helps us to make it through and to be happy and to be healthy and to really enjoy our time. And when I reflect back on my time at Northwestern, I don't really think about the classes that I took or the things I learned in the classroom. Those things help me professionally, no doubt. They help me when I'm having conversations and when I want to prove somebody wrong. But when I think about my time at Northwestern, I really think about kind of the community that I built and the folks that I hung out with. And I graduated a long time ago. And, Chris, as a recent graduate, really can talk a little bit more currently about kind of what happens on campus. So I'm going to hand it over to her to talk about culture and community.
I actually love talking about culture and community, especially after taking these past few weeks to really reflect on my time. And there are always two words that come to mind when I think about the people at Northwestern, and that's engagement and passion. And I choose those two words because every student on this campus is engaged in something outside of the classroom, and they're passionate about that thing. And even like outside of that, they're passionate about so many things, and they care not only about those things, but about the people around them. And Northwestern truly does cultivate this community of support where students, faculty, staff, and everyone here really is supporting each other through the triumphs and all the hard times. I know I've received so many emails and texts and calls from friends and faculty members who are just checking in on us to make sure that we're doing okay. And I truly think that is the reason why I have made it through this long, taking classes and being so remote. And this sort of culture and community is cultivated from the moment students are admitted and when they walk on campus. And part of that is through Wildcat Welcome, which in the past, I'm not exactly sure how it's going to look now that a lot of things are remote, but Wildcat Welcome is the 6 to 12 day introduction for all first year students and transfer students, where they really get to learn about Northwestern. So you're put into groups of 10 to 15 students, and you have 1 to 2 upperclassmen who are called your peer advisors, who are there to help your group learn about campus, from how to get to buildings to how to pick your classes, and just to navigate sort of the stresses that come along with being in college and being at Northwestern specifically. And this really sets the tone on this campus about what it means to support one another. And outside of the sort of dialogues that we have around mental health and sexual assault awareness and prevention, we have really fun things to do, from Rhythm Nation, which is an event where all of the dance teams get to perform to all of the incoming students, to Acapella Fest, where we have all of our acapella groups, which I think we have 15. We might have more have been created since I got here. And it's a really fun experience to see the great things that Northwestern students are doing outside of the classroom. I know for me, I was shocked when I first saw it because I was like, oh my gosh, how do we have professional dancers here who are also like going to be neurosurgeons one day, or who are going to be the next big lawyers and all of that stuff. And it's so cool. And outside of Wildcat Welcome, a lot of people find community through their residential living experiences. So Northwestern has a 2-year live-on requirement, where students, they get to choose from one of the many buildings on campus. Still don't really know how this is looking going forward, but what this residential experience does is it helps you get to know people who are outside of your major, outside of your interests, who you find commonalities through other things. So for me, I lived in a residential college, which is one of the like more smaller, tighter knit communities, and it was centered around humanities, which is something that I was a part of. But a lot of my friends that I made there, some of them were studying theater. We have some other people who are studying neuroscience. They were pre-med. And I made my closest friends from living in this building. And while we don't live together anymore, we stopped living on campus after 2 years. Even during our junior and senior year, we still got together. We had weekly or monthly get-togethers where we just caught up on everything Northwestern and what was going on in our lives. And it was just such a fun experience. And outside of the residential experience, a lot of people find community through various significant spaces, whether that be through the Black House, the Multicultural Center, the Gender and Sexuality and Resource Center, Hillel Jewish Center, and so much more. These are all spaces where students who share a sort of social identity can get together and still feel connected to that identity, even though they're not by home necessarily. But no matter where people find their space, they find their home, everyone comes together through campus traditions. Now, my favorite tradition that Northwestern has, well, I have two, but the most favorite one is Armadillo Day, or Dillo Day for short. And that is a day where it's a student-run music festival. It's the largest in the country, where we have artists of all these different genres. We had from last year, Daya, ASAP Ferg. We've had MGMT, which was from my first year. It's such a great day because students are all just getting together, having a good time, and then going to the Lakeville, and there are like food trucks, and there was a Ferris wheel last year, and I ate so much poke and got a free Vera Bradley backpack. And it's just like such a cool day where even Morty closes down the libraries and he says that this is the day for students to de-stress and to celebrate a year of accomplishments. And although we were online this spring quarter, they still did a virtual Dillo Day where we actually got to like see a Q&A between the artists. And that's just one way students sort of find their community. Now, Dillo Day is actually put on by Mayfest, which is one of the 500 plus, I think there's definitely more than 500 now, student organizations that this campus has. Student organizations are a fantastic opportunity to find people on this campus who are interested in something that maybe doesn't even tie to what they're studying. So we have athletic organizations, which are broken into the varsity, which are like the top ones. We have clubs, which sometimes require tryouts, but other times are open to everyone, to intramural, which is very much split between the people who like think they should be in the Olympics and then the people who are just playing to play dodgeball for fun. And I actually was a part of a club sport. I joined triathlon team during my junior year, after really getting into long distance running and wanting to challenge myself a little bit more. And I was immediately welcomed into this team, and they became like my second family on campus. And I'm so sad that I didn't join earlier because of just how great the organization is. But outside of athletics, we also have um, newspaper and arts sort of publications from the Daily Northwestern, which actually serves all of Evanston and is student written, to magazines. And then outside of that, we have arts organizations like singing, dance. We have 15 a cappella groups, which actually, rumor has it that Pitch Perfect is based off of the Northwestern a cappella scene because one of the producers actually went to Northwestern. And honestly, I can say there's so much less drama between a cappella groups, but such great singing. And for students who are interested in something that they don't necessarily see in a student organization, they can create their own the moment they step on campus. A prime example of that has to be Ukulele Club, which was started by people who graduated with me. They couldn't find a place to just jam and play ukuleles, and they really wanted to create that space. So they got together and they created a club, and it became an official Northwestern club. And it was so nice because for me, I'm not very musically inclined at all. But my sister used to play ukulele after school, and it was nice to be able to go into a space and be around those same people who are like reminding me of what it's like to be at home. And they even got to go to Chicago to play a concert a couple years ago. And something that's really great that was touched on in the beginning, but a lot of student organizations have such great opportunities because of our incredible location in Evanston, and being so close to Chicago.
Yeah, I think our location is this really kind of great resource that we have. And so let me paint this picture for you all is that Northwestern is located in Evanston. Our campus sits right on Lake Michigan, a major body of water. It's a mile long, half a mile wide. It's a very walkable campus. You can get from one end to the other in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes if you're a freshman because freshmen walk slow. We have a few ways that you can, really go throughout campus. And so you have, you could bike if you would like to. Most students will walk. We also have shuttles that will take you up and down campus at night and when it's cold. And then we have shuttles that go throughout Evanston as well, so that you know, don't have to walk too far. But downtown Evanston is really just a stone throw away from our campus, and so it has anything you would ever need in it. Like from restaurants and movie theater, and just lots of different things. Evanston's the dining capital of the North Shore, which means we have a ton of food options. It's one of my favorite places to go just to get something to eat, even though I live in the city proper. And so Chicago itself is only 3 miles south of Northwestern's campus. And so Northwestern is about 11 miles from downtown Chicago. So a 30-minute drive if you're lucky, 45 minutes for being realistic. They're doing some construction on Sheridan, and people keep swerving around bumps, and that makes it really a tragic kind of way to get anywhere. But there's also the CTA, where you can take the train downtown, and then the CTA buses as well. If you can get the transfer just right on the train, it'll take you about 50 minutes to get downtown. And then we also have our inter-campus shuttle. It'll take you from our Evanston campus to our Chicago campus for free with your student ID. It drops you off about 3 blocks away from Michigan Avenue, the Magnificent Mile, 4 or 5 blocks away from Water Tower, which is the mall in downtown Chicago. Chicago is this incredibly accessible kind of city from Northwestern's campus. There's a lot of different things that you could potentially do in Chicago. I love the museums in the city. I've been debating going to the Shedd Aquarium, which is the aquarium downtown. We go every year. They put on some evening events where, like jazzing at the Shedd, where they have different kind of artists come and play jazz music. And it's jazz music, not just kind of in the sense that we think of it, but different cultural jazz as well. And so I always like to go on the day where there's Brazilian jazz because it's just absolutely amazing, if I'm being honest. But there's also this turtle in the main tank who tragically got hit by a boat and it split its shell. But what that means now is that it has to swim with its butt in the air, and that is very amusing to me. Chris, is there anything that you like to do in Chicago, that you want to highlight while we're here?
Yeah, so I love Chicago, and I am so sad that it's not safe to go down anymore. But I'm not willing to risk anyone's lives for this. But actually, the summer after my first year, I did a dessert tour of Chicago, and went on every single line of the CTA and found like three dessert places off each line. Um, and I think I have a few favorites, but there is this one place called Bomba Bar, which is in South Loop, and you get ice cream, and then like they put a little like stick in it, and then put a donut around it, and like I don't know, it was absolutely incredible. But seriously, I have so many food recommendations and dessert places in Chicago. Absolutely incredible.
See, I'll have to hit you up because I love dessert, but I don't love to go try desserts because for some reason people mess them up very easily, more so than they do food, in my experience. Don't let me generalize to people here. But thank you for that. We're going to move on to admissions and financial aid, and then we'll answer some of you all's questions. Um, and so when you apply to Northwestern, there are two deadlines for you to keep in mind. The first being early decision, which is November 1st, and the second being regular decision, which is January 3rd this year. The difference between these two is that early decision is binding. So you're saying that if you're accepted to Northwestern, you'll absolutely attend. You'll withdraw all other applications for other institutions and you're good to go. That's a huge commitment. We understand that. So you do have the opportunity to apply regular decision where you can view all of your admissions, offers, financial aid packages, et cetera, so you can make a more informed decision. But if you absolutely know that Northwestern is the place that you want to be, maybe you already bleed purple, early decision is a great opportunity for you. If not, regular decision is your only opportunity to apply to Northwestern. Should you apply ED, you'll hear back from us no later than December 15th. Should you apply RD, you'll hear back from us no later than April 1st. Hopefully not on April 1st, so that's a terrible time to get news. Applying to Northwestern is pretty easy. We accept the common application and the coalition application. And so you have two options for applying. If you do the common application, there are a ton of different schools that you could potentially apply to as well. So you only have to fill it out once. And then we also have the Northwestern Supplement. Even if you apply with the coalition application, the Northwestern Supplement asks three questions. The first question is, which of our six schools are you applying to? The second question is, what is your anticipated major, which can be undecided. We don't hold that against you at all. Again, undecided, most popular major at Northwestern. Then the third question is an essay question, which essentially boils down to why do you want to attend Northwestern? 350 words. You can write about whatever you would like to. We just ask that you go beyond our location. Well, we're reviewing your application. We look at several different things. It's a holistic review. The context of your application matters quite a bit, but I like to break it down into 6 different areas that we're looking at. And so in no particular order, we look at your essays. There's 2, the one from your application, one from Northwestern Supplement. Don't care what you write about, just care that you write about it well and that you answer the question. I can't emphasize to you enough to please answer the question. You'd be surprised at how many people write great essays that never actually address the question. And you don't want to do that. You're smart. You can answer the question, pick the question that you're answering. You're good to go. I also encourage you to write about something that people want to read about. So what I'm really asking you to do is to remain in the realm of appropriateness. So for example, you might want to, discuss something personal, like, I don't know, something I've read about is like a bowel movement. And I'm just really not interested in that, right? And so really think about what it is that you're writing and what that says about you as a person. We look at your grades and the rigor of your coursework, and we look at those 2 things in the context of your high school. So we look at what kind of courses are offered at your school. Did you take the tough courses and did you do well? We're not comparing your high school's curriculum to any other high school's curriculum. That wouldn't be fair. You couldn't take the courses in another high school because you're not enrolled there. Rather, we just look at what could you have done, what did you do, and how well did you do in that context. We look at your test scores, ACT or SAT. This year, we're test optional. So if you submit the scores, you like your scores, you're happy with it, great. If not, we never have to see your scores at all. Should you submit the scores, we will super score. You submit all of your scores and we'll create a super score for you. Otherwise, you don't have to do it because we're test optional this year. We understand that students aren't able to get to testing centers, that they're being canceled. We are very much aware of that situation. So if you get nothing else out of this, section of the presentation, do know that we are test optional, and we do mean optional. We look at your extracurricular activities, so what you do inside and outside of school. Do you have a part-time job? What makes you outside of going to school and getting good grades? And then we look at your letters of recommendation or letters of support. We require two, one from a counselor, one from a core subject teacher. You can send us as many letters of recommendation as you want to. Beyond that, we just ask they speak to different parts of your character. So if you want someone to talk about you being the captain of the basketball team, or the community service at your church, or your work ethic as a fry cook at McDonald's, you can do that if you would like to. Most students will send us one additional letter of recommendation, so receive 3 from them. Sending us 10 letters that all say the same thing is not going to help you get into Northwestern. And I also encourage you to think about, who's writing your letters and what they can say about you. It might not be the most appropriate for you to get a letter of recommendation from the teacher of the class you did the best in, because maybe they don't know very much about you. You showed up to class, you excelled naturally, you didn't really have to talk to them, so the only thing they can say about you is that you're good at math. And I can see that you're good at math because you got all A's in math. So really consider how those recommendation letters add to the overall context of your application. And then in the entire application process, we are need blind, so your ability to pay never comes into account when we're reviewing your application. And then in our financial aid, we're need based, in that all of our financial aid is based on need. We don't have any merit-based scholarships in Northwestern. So you fill out the FAFSA and the CSS profile. Northwestern determines your estimated family contribution. You're expected to pay that. And then Northwestern pledges to meet 100% of demonstrated need, which is the rest. So if your estimated family contribution was $5,000, you pay $5,000, and then Northwestern covers the rest with no loans. If you're worried about financial aid, we do have financial aid calculator on our website. We can punch in a few numbers, see how much money you can expect to get from Northwestern. It's an estimate, it's not exact, but the estimate is only as good as the numbers that you put in. And so, if you're comfortable with that number, that would be a very great estimate as to what financial aid you'd receive from Northwestern. This past year, we gave out $190 million in financial aid, and we intend to give out more this coming year. And so we're going to go ahead and answer some of the questions that you all have. And so hopefully we can get to, as many as we can. We'll do kind of a speed run here. But we'll start here. Chris, do you want to talk about what resources Northwestern has for first generation students?
Yes, so there are ample opportunities for first generation students. And for this question, I'm actually going to use the umbrella of first generation, low income, and or a DACA recipient, because we do have an office, the Student Enrichment Services Office, which provides supports for all of these students. So one of the things, they do a lot of financial literacy workshops, or if you're first generation and low income, they help you get connected to various social support programs, whether that be while you're living off campus, you get SNAP benefits, or anything like that. And basically, Student Enrichment Services is there to support students from the moment they get on campus all the way through their time at Northwestern. That's a very fast answer, but I encourage you to look on the Student Enrichment Services website for whoever is interested, because that will lay out a lot of the resources that are there.
Perfect. And then I think this is a quick one. Would you say that Northwestern's environment is more competitive or more collaborative?
I would say collaborative. Of course, it's a college with rigorous coursework, so there's going to be some competition, but overall, Northwestern really encourages collaboration.
Perfect. I'll take this one. It's a pretty easy question, and I have this great story for it, which is, do students and professors generally form personal relationships? During my junior year, I took this course for my practicum, where we had to do an internship for the full quarter. And the professor of that class was Cheryl Judice. And so Cheryl, who I absolutely love, and I see that you love too, Chris, really took an interest in me because I did my practicum at a preschool, because I'm very interested in kind of child development. And, Cheryl made sure that, she kept in touch with me. Anytime she saw me, she would speak to me, even though once I was done with her class, I was done with Cheryl. She didn't let that happen. And so she once saw me walking into my place of employment. She was doing some internships or some interviews for a fellowship. Um, and, she asked me what my plans were for when I graduated from Northwestern, and I wasn't quite sure. So she had this idea for me to work for this nonprofit over the summer, but they were barely paying any money. And I just wasn't about that. So what she said to me was that if I took this job, I could live with her while I had this job. Right. And so, I'm like, cool, whatever. And so I stayed with her for a little bit so I could have this job and I could have this work experience. And then she invited me over to her house, for dinner. And then ultimately, she invited me over to her house for dinner once a month. And I graduated in 2012. And up until COVID, I had dinner with Cheryl once a month, which was amazing. And so that's just one of the many personal relationships that I have with faculty members. And Cheryl is absolutely wonderful. If not my favorite person I met at Northwestern, definitely top two. Um, and so let's see, what would you say Northwestern looks for in a prospective student? I'll say that, we're just looking for folks who have strong academic capabilities, but are also passionate and they have that kind of like thirst for innovation. But we're just looking to build this kind of community. I wouldn't say that there's any one sort of like Northwestern student. That wouldn't be any fun. Rather, we want people to be themselves and to be authentic. And I think, if you have the opportunity to come to campus, you'll meet a lot of different people who have a lot of different opinions. And that's absolutely wonderful. Chris, do you want to talk about what programs are available for students wishing to get an education in business? Since this is a very common question.
Yeah, so Northwestern does not have a business major or a business school for undergraduates. Northwestern does have Kellogg School of Management, which is an incredible graduate program, but they also offer certificates and minors. So for students who are really interested in business, they can get a business institutions minor. They can also get different certificates in management studies. But something that Northwestern stands behind, and I fully agree with, is the fact that getting a interdisciplinary education will set you up for success in a way that is better than or equal to if you were to go to a school that had a business program. So we have a lot of students who major in learning and organizational change, who are interested in how different groups of people work together, or major in economics, or even our industrial engineering. And what we've seen here is that even though these students aren't majoring in business, they have the same, if not more, opportunities for them to get involved. So we have a lot of students who go into investment banking, or I'm really so unfamiliar with the business world, I will be honest, but I know people who majored in social policy like me who worked for Visa and who still work for Visa. So there are so many opportunities, whether it be through classes, through a minor certificate program, and even through extracurricular organizations where students can get that sort of business education without being a business major.
That's a wonderful explanation. Are you penalized if your school doesn't have many APs? And the answer to that's no. So we're only going to hold you kind of responsible for the curriculum that was available to you. So we want to see you taking the most rigorous program available at your high school. If you don't have that many AP classes or IB courses or honors courses, there's nothing I can do about that. I just encourage you to challenge yourself in any ways that you can. And a lot of schools kind of do that differently. What are your favorite Northwestern traditions? Chris said that Dillo Day was one. I really like the Primal Scream, where at 9 p.m. on the Sunday before finals week, all of our students stop what they're doing and they scream for a minute straight. It's absolutely amazing. Um, can you explain the difference between dual degree and double major? Um, Absolutely. So when you boil it down, a dual degree, you leave with two pieces of paper. So you complete the requirements for both degrees, whereas a double major, you complete the requirements for the major, but not necessarily for an additional degree. Um, so basically, two pieces of paper versus one piece of paper, but you learn quite a bit. Let's see. How bad are the winters? I'm from the area, so and again, I love winter. But Chris, what do you think?
Hmm. Um, okay, they're not that bad. I think I was more scared before coming than like thinking rationally about the winters, and I think that's what made it worse for me. Honestly, you just need a good coat that goes past your butt, preferably to your knees, because the wind will hit you, and it's not very fun. A good pair of gloves, a hat, and a scarf, and you're fine. We had one year with the polar vortex where they actually canceled class because it was too cold. Um, Now that was cold. That was horrible. There's no way to sugarcoat that. But the school was there to support students by providing, and they do this every time it gets below a certain temperature, or with a wind chill, and that's the frostbite shuttle, which provides transportation more frequently than their other shuttles across campus and through the like Evanston area for students who live off campus. Um, so really, it's not too bad. You're also rarely outside for that long because campus is not that big, and you're just scooting on to one class or another. So it is okay. Even my friends from the South, don't let the winter be something that deters you from coming to such an amazing school.
Is Greek life common on campus? Would you say?
Um, I would say it's here, but a lot of students, it's not like the primary thing. And I think that's what's really great. The number, I think it might have changed a little bit, but it's been said that 40% of students on campus are involved in some Greek organization, whether that be PHA and IFC, or in PHC, we have the like, multicultural Greek organizations, and even Greek like honors fraternities, such as like the business pre-medical one, stuff like that. But one rule that I think is so great here is that you have to be involved in something else outside of Greek life. So while people say, "Oh, I am a part of this sorority, but I'm also on this theater board, or I'm working with this organization and doing this community service." So it's something that if you want to be involved in, you can, but it's also not a defining point of Northwestern or for many Northwestern students' experiences.
Cool. I'm gonna try to speed round some of these. How will COVID-related restrictions on extracurricular involvement impact the way they are weighted or evaluated in the admissions process? Do you have any advice regarding extracurriculars with COVID? I'm gonna tell you the truth. You can't really play basketball, right? Unless you're in the NBA. So my expectation isn't going to be that you continue to do that, even if that's something that you are very passionate about. My hope is that you will find a way to stay involved in your community and to make an impact. And so, whatever that looks like, kind of for you, if you even have the time or the capacity to do so, maybe you don't, maybe there's too much happening with COVID where you have to be at home, you have extra responsibilities, you're responsible for making sure your little brother does his homework and that he's in class and he's doing these things. So, my expectations are definitely going to shift. But my hope is that you continue to do something productive with, some of your free time, even if that's like, you know, working out every day or something. But, just let us know what it is that you are doing. I wouldn't worry too much about it because I too can't do anything. I pay dues for organizations that I just can't participate in, which kind of sucks. I'm interested in pursuing research in college, but I have little to no current experience in any form of advanced research. Would I be able to adapt to the research setting NU provides? Chris, did you have any research experience before you started your research?
No, so many people I know also don't have research, and Northwestern has the programs to get students who don't have research experience to get involved in research. So it's okay if you don't have any experience. It's also okay if you do. Anyone's welcome to do research here.
Cool. What is NU like on the weekend? Are there activities? What do folks do?
Oh, there's so many ways I could answer this question. A part of the weekend, Sunday, I will say, is a huge work day for a lot of students. So you mainly find people in the libraries or in the university center doing work while also hanging out with friends or study groups. Also, something that's also not just for the weekend, but in the evenings, a lot of like theater productions happen, dance shows. We have a great comedy scene on campus. I didn't know Northwestern students could be as funny as they are. So there's so many opportunities to like do campus things. Also, a lot of students will explore Evanston, go downtown if there's a football or basketball game, or lacrosse and soccer. Those games are honestly incredible too, because we have such great players here. Um, so yeah, there's so many things to do on the weekend, or you can just chill at home. The dining halls are open when you're living on campus, so you can get food whenever. Um,
Cool. And then what is diversity like on campus? So over 50% of our students identify as non-white students, which is one way to measure diversity. But we have over 190 different academic programs, so students have different academic interests. We have students from all 50 states and over 90 countries abroad, so we're geographically diverse. 20% of our students are Pell Grant recipients, which can be said that 20% of our students are from the lowest income bracket in America. So there's some diversity there and socioeconomic status. And so there's lots of different ways to measure diversity. I will say that Northwestern is this very fascinating place where all of these different people come together and they share their culture. And I had a lot of fun just kind of interacting with people in different cultural groups and things. I don't know, Chris, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I think coming to Northwestern was definitely an eye-opening experience because I feel like I was surrounded by this like similar-minded people, especially coming from, I wouldn't say similar-minded, but the same type of people coming from Texas. The really cool thing, we have dance groups and organizations for different ethnic identities, and they're open, they're events are open to everyone. So I've been able to experience different cultures and different foods that I would not have experienced at home. So there is diversity in a lot of ways, and it's also welcome to explore and just like learn about other people's cultures.
Cool. So we've went over on time. I do this all the time, but I wanted to make sure I got to as many questions as I could. And Chris, thank you for staying longer than you had to. You didn't sign up for this, but I want to say that if we didn't get to your questions, we can potentially get to them later. And then if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to the Office of Undergraduate Admission. To ask those questions, give us a call, whatever it is that you need, to understand Northwestern. And we have lots of great students like Chris who are happy to answer any questions that you may have. And then also folks like me who are a little less hip, but maybe could answer some of the things that you have to say. And so, thank you all for joining us. Be sure to, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. Like the video if it was cool. Follow us on social media. We have a lot of great sort of things there as well, and ways for you to engage with us. And yeah,